Is here.
This is Real Generational Wealth. Live from Southern California, this is Abby, Espy, and Jen.
Hi, ladies.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Good evening, and welcome back to Real Generational Wealth, where we have over 50 years of combined experience making sure you and your family always have a place to call home. We have a really exciting episode for you guys today. We are going to touch up on how to make you a homeowner in 2022. So stay tuned for a bunch of topics that we have. And if you are watching us live, hashtag live. If you're catching us on the replay, hashtag replay. So before we get to any of our good stuff, Abby, Espy, how are you ladies? How have you been? How's this new year in real estate treating you?
Good.
We're getting
pretty
up to
busy.
speed now. Yeah. We're up and running.
Yeah, I do feel like this year has definitely been, I've been running since the new year, I feel like it. As opposed to most times it heats up around March, right before the spring. It's
That's true.
definitely been like a crazy whirlwind. Abby, I see you. I think you opened up 4 escrows this month.
Yeah.
So I've been busy
firing
since
up.
I was gonna take some time off during the holidays, and then I got really busy. Some relatives and old clients needed a home, so I was like, okay, I'll help you. And then it's always right before we go on vacation that I get super busy. And this time we're gonna be in the Caribbean, so I won't have any phone access. So I'm really trying to close everything like right before we go on the boat. So I'm very blessed. I have the ones that I have in escrow is from a client. This is going to be our 5th transaction together. So
Nice.
I think in the beginning of my real estate career, I helped them buy their first home, and now they're on their 3rd. So it's really exciting. How about you guys? I know you're always busy, Jen. Like it seems like you're always running around.
I've definitely this month I opened up 2 already. I listed a property as soon as we started the new year with some clients. I held 3 open houses and we got 11 offers way above asking right after those 3 open houses. We had requested or we asked for a possibility for a rent back.
Mhm.
Or basically an extension of escrow. However, we actually opened escrow last week, Wednesday, and I got acceptance for them this past Sunday. So
Wow.
thankfully it's about to close concurrently, which is amazing. It's kind of a win-win for all parties.
So
Mhm.
what stood out for that? So for people wanting to buy a home, you're representing the sellers. Like what stood out about that particular buyer's offer?
Um, well, they had a big down payment. They were very strong financially. On paper, they were very strong.
Like credit
They actually
score
came in through my open house.
Mhm.
And they spoke to me. I got to know the actual buyers. The agent herself, she was on top of it. She called me and texted me multiple times a day. And I know there's some agents who think that's irritating, but it actually is great. She literally stood out above all the other agents.
Well, that sounds enticing,
Yeah.
such an ideal client and
Yeah, it was
somebody to
just
work
nice.
with.
Yeah, everything is
I wish I
magically
had that
falling.
kind of clients all the time and agents that I work with all the time, right?
That's true. It's
Yeah,
hard to
yeah,
find an easy client, but it's easy to find a hard client.
That's true.
But
yeah.
so I think some people are thinking like, okay, what's the significance of having a big down payment? I mean,
Well, I guess without going into too much detail, because I know next week we're going to be talking about pre-approvals and loans. Um, the significance of a big down payment, it just shows that you are much more stronger as a buyer, right? You have more
Mhm.
cash,
mhm.
especially now with appraisal contingencies being released. You want to make sure these buyers have the liquid cash to be able to make up that difference if needed, right?
Yes,
So,
yes, that's
Usually, you're one of the top of the list of multiple when it comes to multiple offers.
yeah.
Of course, big
cash.
down payment,
Mhm.
even cash. But of course, cash you have to really show your proof of funds.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I had a listing in Rancho, and we had so many cash offers, like cash offer from a 1031 exchange, cash offer, the funds were still in China, and we ended up
Oh.
going with the non-cash offer. But
Mhm.
the thing is, I met with the appraiser, and the the last sold comp is 60,000 below what ours is
What your
gonna
offer price is?
sell
Yeah.
for. Yeah, yeah. So he was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I can't go by, even if you have 30 offers, I can't use that. I have to go by the value." And so we just debated back and forth about the theory of value and supply and demand. And yeah, I think I lost, but
I mean,
the
I think
appraiser
that's
has the
kind of,
last say.
I mean, unfortunately, it kind of does come down to the mercy of the appraiser, right? Like there are some who will take into consideration the uptick in the market
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the supply and demand and stuff like that. And then there's others who are just by the book and they're like, no, on paper, this is what it's worth.
yeah. That
Um,
basically he's that.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, but
Well, that's the
ultimately, a
thing.
house.
Yeah, it's an opinion.
Yeah. I mean, and ultimately,
Appraisal is an opinion,
it is
and it
definitely an opinion.
depends.
It is definitely an
Yeah.
opinion.
So if you have a lender that you use and it's a out of area lender and they use an appraiser that is out of area, they're not very familiar with what's going on, and
Right.
a lot of times you just can't, you know, uh, debate with them or negotiate with them,
Right.
just
yeah,
because
we debated
it's too busy right
cordially.
now.
Like
Yeah.
I tried not to burn any bridges. Like it was very cordial, and but
Mhm.
I think he's gonna have the last say. He's not from, like you said, he's not from the area, and he doesn't.
Mhm.
And I told him, "Oh, we have offers for 650," and he's like, "That doesn't mean anything to me." I was like, "But isn't
Mhm.
it what a
You
ready,
didn't
willing, and
remove
able
appraisal
buyer is gonna
contingency?
pay?" What we
Mhm.
Did you
say?
not remove the appraisal contingency?
It is removed, but
Okay.
I still have to. I don't want the gap to be that big,
Of
because
course.
it's like, yeah, lower
Yeah,
likelihood
that can be a
of
risk.
closing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just easier if we can just get it a little bit
As close as
higher.
possible, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So
But anyway, enough about that. I know some of our viewers are wondering, they want to get to the meat and potatoes of today's show. So, say you have been thinking about it all last year and you've decided, all right, I am totally ready to finally buy a house. Where do you start? Now I know there's this constant debate. I mean, rent versus buy, right? So I don't know, SB, give me, I mean, what would you say the differences between renting and buying are?
Well, you still have your deduction. You
Right.
still have an equity that can grow over time.
mhm.
Right.
You can have, this is the best asset that you can invest on compared to stocks and bonds and all that, because you can live on it. You can use it, you can live on it, compared to car that you use or jewelry that you use. This one appraises and it can sell higher than, you know, over time.
True.
It
Yes.
can sell higher than how you bought it. Can you imagine, my aunt bought her house that I was telling you about, you know, she bought it for $16,000 way back in
16.
the 16,000, and it was happened to be in Mountain View, right?
Yeah.
So she passed on last year, and they had an offer that was a little over 2 million.
Wow.
Wow. So imagine if
Yeah,
she was renting that whole time.
exactly. You know,
She wouldn't be able to
so
realize that 2 million.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So no matter what, it's always good to own. But of course, it depends on your lifestyle. So sometimes, where you're gonna base yourself, where you're gonna entrench yourself, makes a difference whether you're gonna buy or rent, right?
Right.
That's true.
So with retiring style, for me, when I promote retiring style, I always say, don't just move out to a place. Let's say you want to go to Tennessee or to Arizona, things like that. You want to rent first and stay there
True.
for a few months, before you even buy.
Right.
So it depends on your purpose. What is your purpose? Are you a first time home buyer? There's always different ways of buying, as a first time buyer. And I always say to a first time buyer, the most important thing is your conviction. Do you really want? Because when you really want, doors open. You get a
True.
good job, you get promoted, you get a gift. It's amazing what happens when you have that power of intention.
Amen to
Yeah,
that.
that's true. And
Yeah.
it also makes it easier for us as real estate agents when we know that you're motivated and you're not like passive, like, oh, I'll
Yeah.
just see what comes up on the market.
Right.
But if you're like, I've been lucky, my buyers have been very motivated to
Mm-hmm.
purchase, and it's easier to find exactly what you want when you know what you want, you know the location, and you have that drive and that motivation.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the
Yeah,
thing,
but
right?
well,
Renting.
what do you think about this year, 2022? This is our third year of COVID. So
Right.
far, we still have it. You know.
It's
Yeah, that's
crazy. I mean, but COVID hasn't stopped anybody from buying, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People still need a place to live. People still need a place to go, and so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why there's still this debate, right, on rent versus
Yeah.
buy. But I think what some people, there's a little things, right? Some people with renting, you're always dealing with the landlord. You have a landlord who's ultimately going to be making decisions for you. With renting,
Mm-hmm.
you are paying someone else's mortgage. You are
Mhm.
paying into their equity instead of your own investments and stuff. With renting, you have to get permission to remodel and to make changes on the house. And so I think that's why in COVID, a lot of people are like, well, screw renting. I'm going to buy. I want to have something of my own, more
Mm-hmm.
space, more office space, more kid space, things like that. A place for you to grow and basically create stability for yourself. So COVID hasn't gotten in the way of anything, which has been
Right.
crazy too,
I think if
as
Right.
far as real estate
anything,
goes. Yeah.
it's increased the buyer pool because a lot of them realize, oh, I can work from because of COVID. Oh, I can work from
Yeah.
home,
You can
and
work from
so
home.
you have these people going into like the Inland Empire, Riverside County, San
Moving
Bernardino
out.
County.
Mm-hmm. Moving out from the big city.
Yes.
And you'll be surprised that even renting, there is multiple offer. Do you know that?
Yeah,
That there's a
Oh, renting I
shortage
think
of
is harder
rental?
than buying.
I
It's harder
agree.
to rent than
Yeah.
to buy
I agree.
because
Yeah.
it's like with a when you buy, you can get an FHA loan with a 620 FICO score, but when you rent, they want 800 credit score, and they want
4 or 5
to see your
months
bank statement.
reserves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, for FHA, it's 580
Oh yeah,
credit
with the bigger
score.
down payment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're thinking that, oh, it's easier to rent, there's also shortage of rental. I
Yeah.
have some people who are still looking for a place to rent, and there's multiple offers. They get beat from bidding.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and some pay the whole year.
Up
That's how
front.
they
Right.
Yeah.
win. They'll
Mm-hmm.
pay a whole year in advance, and they're like, "Okay, forget about you guys. Like, I'm just gonna pay." So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
ultimately, homeownership is definitely the way to go, right? It's the best investment you can make for yourself or for your family. SB even said it. It's a this most stable investment as opposed to all the other things,
Mm-hmm.
stocks and a car and other things that diminish over time. But okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you're a buyer. Let's say you guys are a buyer and or well, let's say we have a buyer who's decided I want to buy. I mean, where do you tell them to start? What if they say, Abby, I have student loans I can't afford. I cannot get pre-approved. What do you say about like student loans or debt? Like I owe too much. What advice do you give them for a buyer who is
So
afraid of their debt?
usually I tell them, first we need to see what you can get approved for. Maybe it's not a yes right now, it might be a no or not yet, but let's figure out what we need to do to get to a yes. Cuz basically how just because you have student loans that doesn't mean you can't purchase a home. It just means your debt to income ratio will be higher. So the way they figure out how much house you can afford is with your debt to income ratio. Let's just say, for instance, you make 10,000 a month, and the DTI usually goes up to 41% for a conventional loan. So you can go up to 4,100, including all your debts and your house payment. So your house
Yep.
payment can be 3,000, and you can have a car payment of 500, and then maybe 600 in student loans. And that's very acceptable. That's actually a very good DTI. So based on that, you can qualify for a home with a payment of up to the 3,000.
Yeah.
So Just because you have debt, don't think that you can't get qualified for a home loan.
Right. I think one
Yeah.
big misconception about student loans is, I mean, majority of my friends are nurses, nurse
Hmm.
practitioners, and doctors, and they tell me, they say, "Well, I have a $200,000 student loan." It's not the big number that the lenders look at. It's the monthly payment on your loan that gets counted against your DTI. So
Mm.
Yes.
you never know. You may actually qualify for a home way bigger than you think. So
Well, a lot of people are thinking that the student loan is all the burden to the student, to the first time home buyer. But actually, it is also burden to the mom and dad who did
who are on the loan.
were co-guarantor.
Yeah,
I had
that's
a
true.
client like that, and what we did was after 1 year that the student or the son was working, he started making the payments for the student loan. That was that share of mom. So for me to be able to take that out from mom's credit, debt to income ratio, we proved that he had been making payments for a year,
Yeah.
and then that was removed. But that's a big chunk,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's the reason why sometimes you need to really prepare and look at the credit. Maybe not now, maybe not 6 months, but the first thing that you want to check first is the lending or the financing side.
Right.
yeah,
And don't try to do it yourself, because
Right.
some people are like to do that. They research in Google, and then they go to Credit Karma, and then I have a lender, my favorite lender, who helps fix credit.
Yeah.
oh yeah, many
So
lenders do that.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
so there
a lot
are
of
some
lenders will
lenders.
guide. Yeah, will
Hmm.
guide before, you even get pre-approved just so you can get started on the
Yeah,
process.
Yeah, I
yeah,
have
right.
clients that start with 470 FICO score and they end up with 640, and it's like,
Wow.
Right.
see, we can
Yeah.
get you a house now.
Yeah. And it in a shorter period. Sometimes it can, just now I was just asking Oliver, I said, oh, in 10 days I would be able to do that.
Right.
I can move it from 611 to 680, you know. So
It
it
can
depends on the
happen.
situation. Yeah, it
Hmm.
depends on the situation. But if you're trying to do it yourself, a lot of times there are certain things that because you're not the expert, right? So if you
Right.
let the expert work with you, then you can get a better result and a faster result.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, if the credit is really low, I usually recommend them to go to someone like Ellen, like a credit repair
Get repair.
specialist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
sometimes there's situations where they really have to do a lot of disputing and paperwork to get things off their credit.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, but I also think that there's a lot of misconceptions about what credit score you actually need. Some buyers think, I don't have a 750, I can't buy a house. That's actually
Mm-hmm.
quite the opposite. For conventional, I think you need a 620.
620
yes.
for
Right,
conventional.
and then FHA is a 580
580.
for three and a half
580.
percent down, right? But if
Three and
I
a half
think you can even
percent.
go lower than that with just a bigger down payment, 10% down with
Mm-hmm.
FHA. So
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of buyers here that are watching, if your credit isn't the best, you can still get a loan. It's literally the lenders have to look at your whole financial picture. So it's your debt to income ratio, how much you actually owe, it's your credit score, and then it's your income, right? So you definitely have to have a job. You have to show that you can make your
Mm-hmm.
loan payment. And then I'm sure there's, well, you ladies can touch up on that. How many years do you need to be working at a job, or at least in that industry, to have that
Typically
history?
two, or if you're going to
Well, the
school,
typical is two. Yeah.
yeah, typically it's like 2 years of W-2s. But if you're going to school for something that is in line with your job or your profession, then they usually just take
You
30
don't need
days.
seasoning. Yeah. No
Yeah, yeah.
seasoning. Yeah.
They'll take 30 days of your pay stub, so like two pay stubs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have a
Well, as long as
W-2,
you're not in probationary, you have to be a
yeah,
permanent employee. Usually it takes about 90 days, but if you're super good and they took you, let's say you were a working student at that time, and then later on they convert you to a full-time worker, employee, and you have something special that you're offering to the company, then yeah, you know. And
Yeah,
talking about companies, there are some companies also that gives you down payment, right? They give you housing allowance.
Kaiser. I think Kaiser
Yeah.
has some down payment assistance programs, and then also
Hmm.
the school. Like if you're a certain profession, you can get down payment assistance.
Right.
Um, yeah, or you can
Yeah.
do. I mean, there's some programs that have 0% down, but we'll touch on that in the
Yeah,
next
I mean, we can
episode.
definitely
Next
go
time.
into
Yeah.
detail as far as like different loan options. Next week, we are definitely going to be talking about pre-approvals, but to touch up on it, so buyers kind of get an idea, because a lot of questions I will get from people who are just starting is, how much do I need to have? How much do I need to
Hey,
save?
Jen, we're not meeting next week, right? Because
Oh,
I
not
have
next week.
something
I'm
going
sorry.
on.
Next
Oh,
episode in
sorry.
2 weeks.
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks.
Okay, good.
Next episode.
Uh,
Next
yeah,
episode in 2 weeks. Yes.
yeah, in 2 weeks, which is
Uh,
February what? Second?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to clarify that.
But that's why, like, you have a lot of buyers who are like, well, I don't
Yeah.
know where to start. How much do I need, Liz? Is $2,000 enough? Is $10,000 enough? Like, a lot of buyers are confused on that. So
Hmm.
I guess we can just go down the list.
On
Um,
and on. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so FHA, we were talking about it. FHA is 3%, 3.5% down, right?
Hmm.
Depending on your credit score. Otherwise,
Mhm.
if it's too low, then you would need at least 10% down. There are conventional programs that allow 5% down, some even 3% down.
3%.
Yeah.
If you have 620
And then
FICO.
you have VA loan options that are
Hmm.
0% down. If you are in the military, you were in the military, you can qualify for a 0% down. And they have great rates too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No
Yeah.
PMI.
exactly.
Yeah, so on the VA, I have one client that was saying, "Oh, you can't buy right now because the VA we need 100%, and you can't find anything in the valley and all that." But remember, owner occupied can be 1 to 4 units, okay? And if you buy 4 unit or 2 unit, there's income on those three other units that can
Yep.
add on to your income.
That's true.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if your income is a little bit smaller to buy that fourplex, we can check the income of the three other units to add on to your income so that you can qualify for a fourplex.
Yeah.
Or there are some here in the valley. There's a lot of them that are like there's one house and then there's a second house as a rental. you know so there's different things that you can do. The most important thing is you talk to people and find out what is out there.
Yeah.
And don't get stuck with just one realtor just because they're a family or realtor, or that is a family or a friend, things like that. You have to really dig into the knowledge. Of course we would love our family and friends to use us, but it is important that they give you enough time and diligence to look after your interests and find out the resources that you can use.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's huge, right? As a buyer, you want to start with the best support team that's going to
Hmm.
basically get you to the end goal at the end of the day. And that's
Right.
working with the right agent, making sure this agent is knowledgeable and will put you in the right direction. That's also working with the lender who will answer all your questions. And as a first-time home buyer, you will have a lot of questions. That is okay. I've had buyers say,
Mhm.
"I'm sorry, I have a lot of questions." It's okay. Like you
I
should have
know.
questions.
Yeah.
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 I
It's
mean,
like
it's
that's our
it's
job to answer your questions.
exactly. I mean,
Hmm.
this is one of the
Hmm.
biggest investments people make in their life, right? So it you should have questions. Definitely ask, and again, start with a team that's going to help you get through all that. But
Yeah.
as I
Yep.
wanted to, I mean, because you mentioned how people are basically buying multi units. You have a
Mm.
duplex, triplex, fourplex. People are living in one and renting out the other. So that's this. I feel like it's just this new thing, this house hacking, right? A lot of people are doing.
Yeah.
Um, so if a buyer were to come up to either of you ladies and ask, should my first property be an investment property? How do you deal with that? How do you answer that question?
It depends on their situation.
Exactly. It
If their
depends.
finances
Mhm.
can handle the investment property, just because you need some kind of cushion, then yeah, then definitely I would tell them, oh, get a duplex or a fourplex as your first property. But a lot of times they're just starting out. they're not married or they're pretty young and they just want to get something simple like a 2 bedroom, 1 bath condo. So it's situational. Depends on
Right.
the buyers.
Yeah. See, I belong to a real estate investment group here, and in fact, next month we're gonna start doing a person, face to face convention. So LAREIC, they meet in a certain place, and then there's a lot of vendors there. You can rent a table, and then it's all free to the public to go to. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I see a lot of like UCLA students going there, you know,
Yes.
and people sometimes you can invest and flip properties or wholesale things like that. You don't need to own a house. you
Yeah.
know you're basically just playing chess. You're just doing moving the pawns and matching up people and trying to find the right team to flip a house or to wholesale a house. Of course, that's a different story, but then that's still real estate, and that is
Yeah.
still a possibility that you can do. you know I noticed here in the valley, at least, or in LA, there's a lot of flippers. There's a lot of people who are doing that.
The prices are
Everywhere.
And
so high in the valley.
yes, yes, yes. And the thing is, there's a lot of houses here that are built in 1908, 1925, 1950, and they're in millions of dollars just because of where they are.
Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah.
the developers go in there, buy it, especially the ones up in the hill. They buy it, and then they put 4,000 square feet house, or three levels with a pool,
Yeah.
and the view of the sunset, right? Like the sunset movie,
Selling
TV
sunset.
series, yeah, that we watch on TV. And there's a lot of developers who are just eyeing on those,
Yeah.
looking at the older homes and upgrading them. Yeah.
That's true.
So,
Speaking of selling sunset, one of their agents put an offer on my
Your
wow.
properties.
property in Yorba Belinda. Yeah,
Oh,
but
wow.
she's she's really pretty. I don't want to say her name, but yeah, we didn't end up accepting her offer. They wanted a interim occupancy agreement.
Mm.
Uh,
So what that is they wanted the buyers to move in prior to close of escrow. They
Explosive
removed all
escrow.
contingencies,
Oh,
but the buyers had to move out of their
I
place.
would say that's the
Yeah,
worst thing
I
that you want
was
to
like,
do.
Yeah.
yeah, we just waited for a different
Yeah.
buyer, and we ended
Yeah.
up getting 150,000 more. So we
Nice.
closed
Okay.
150,000 over what they offered. So,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't. I think a lot of people are selling Sunset fans. That's not really
That's
how.
not real. I wanted to add that
It's
in.
not realistic, and a lot of times you guys think that's their listing. Actually, it belongs to a guy named Peter Cornell. Oh, I'm like giving TMI, but you don't see him all the time. But he works in the sports and entertainment division for that real estate brokerage. Like he's one of the main brokers, and but you don't see him. And then the ladies are the faces of those
Official.
listings, but it's not really them that is listing the property. Because I check all of the homes they sell. I check on it, and I'm like, oh, this guy
Mm.
Peter is on
Well, they
every
might be,
transaction.
yeah, they
I do
might be
think.
doing something like an in-house sale. Like the iBuyers agent.
Well,
You
some of
know.
them like there was one. It's it was DJ Khaled's house. Um, it's that guy Peter that was the listing agent, and then um, it wasn't like an in-house or iBuyer. It's it's just they use those ladies as
Yeah.
the face,
It's
like
Hollywood. It's
Marketing
yeah,
Hollywood.
yeah,
strategy. It's a
I don't
packaging
think it's not a true depiction of the day to day in
of the
real estate.
real. Yeah.
Um,
Mm,
they don't. They definitely romanticize it, and it looks very
mm,
awesome to watch. I think. I mean, I've only seen an episode, like the very first episode
mm,
years ago, but
I
it's great to
love
watch.
it.
But
It's
it's not. Yeah, that's not how it really is down in the trenches when it comes to real estate. So going back to our buyers who are currently watching this episode, don't look at selling sunset as an example. But I mean, you guys definitely have so many options to be able to buy this year, right?
mm,
You want to be able to just kind of get your job right, get your credit right, and get your debt right, essentially, to get started.
mhm.
yeah, the
And
higher
find the
your
right realtor. Find the right team.
Yes.
Pick
yeah,
the right team for you. Yeah.
I mean, I
It
would
does.
even suggest interviewing realtors, right? Talking to multiple realtors, see who you vibe with. I mean, you're going to be spending at least a month or two with this agent. You want to definitely like them. You want to be able to talk to them, and ask all of your questions. So talk to a few different realtors, see who you vibe with, see who will get you to your end goal.
It
Mhm.
does make a big difference who your realtor is. Like when I was going out with my clients, we ran into a realtor that said, "Oh, I put 30 offers in for my buyers already and nothing stuck." But like we were on our second offer and we got it accepted. So there might be something that they're doing or other people are doing that some realtors are not doing. So it really does make a difference who your realtor is, how knowledgeable they are about the market, and like how hard they're willing to work for you. Because I know these ladies, they're available day and night, and I know your clients are all very happy with um, with their transactions with you. So that says a lot too. Like what
And
how
it's a
your
client
reviews
for
are.
life.
Hmm.
You want
Yes,
client for
yeah,
life. You want a realtor for life.
Yeah.
Somebody that you can call even after 5 years, 6 years, and ask you and feel comfortable asking questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
But
All right.
I think that pretty much wraps up our show. I don't know if you ladies have
Yeah.
any more ending points for
Hmm.
any of our
Well,
buyers. Go
if
ahead.
you guys have any other questions, you can reach out to me, Jen, or SB with any real estate questions. We'd be happy to assist you. I know some of you might feel intimidated. You're probably thinking, "Oh, they have a show, they don't have enough time." But really, we're here to serve you guys. So we're here to
Yeah.
help. Just let us know. SB especially, she specializes in retiring in style. So with all the baby boomers out there, if you want to
I
downsize,
really
or
help people transition. That's the big thing.
yes,
It's
yeah, she's
helping
great
them
at helping people
transition.
transition into
Yeah,
that.
if you're moving
that
from one place to another, or if you decided, what you're gonna do, move first or sell, or buy, things like that. And as a senior real estate specialist, I cater to a lot of seniors, baby boomers, but even their kids or even the millennials that are out there, that are buying right now, that are staying with their mom and dad, right?
yes.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. You would be able to buy something, as long as you really want it. you know Different
Yeah.
ways of financing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Abby's out in the Inland Empire. Well, she's actually everywhere, but she is Miss Do
I
It's all right.
Everything.
know,
But you know what I mean? That's the thing. Like
You
you
gotta have an
again,
EV.
choosing the right
right?
agent, right?
Yeah.
Abby is a specialist out in the Inland Empire. If you're looking out there, you want to call her to help you buy or sell. If you any of you other millennials out there, I know you want to own that first home, give me a call. I feel you, I get you. So any one of us would be happy to help.
Or
Yeah.
if you have bad credit right now, I'll help you. I'll,
Yeah.
I'll help you get to a house eventually.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah,
All
I
right.
mean everyone here, please be sure to tune in 2 weeks. Our next episode in 2 weeks, we're gonna get through the pre-approval process. That's
Mhm.
your biggest first step as far as buying a home. So until then, we look
Mhm.
forward to seeing you guys. Have a great night.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Have a